Good evening. The reason I'm so late getting out here is because I wasn't sure how to turn this on. So you shouldn't just hand me the mic. So I do want to welcome you to Capella Clausura and Troubadours. It's so good to be able to stand here and be with you tonight. I am Martha Bancroft, Vice President of the Board of Directors and longtime supporter of Amy LeClaire and Capella Clausura. Close to 16 years now. My love of music, art, and theater makes me appreciate the uniqueness of how Amelia brings the arts into her performances. The most striking example of this was when she placed 16th century nuns chanting the hours of the day in a 20th century chapel audience, this room. Okay, here we are years later, and she has another unique experience for us. I hope you enjoy the marvelous diversity of this concert, Troubadours. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to our new executive director, who has important concert hall information for you. Please welcome Abby Lass.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? Wonderful. I got feedback at last night's concert that I talked far too quickly, so I will try to slow down. First, I just want to thank you all for the warm welcome I've received. This is my second full month in this position, and it's been so wonderful to get to meet you all and to get to put names to faces and just to become a part of the community that is Capella Clausura. So thank you so much for that warm welcome. A few logistical things that I wanted to go over before today's concert. First, I'd like to acknowledge that this concert is taking place on stolen Indigenous lands. To read our full land acknowledgement and learn more about what you can do to support the unerasure of Indigenous peoples, please see page 6 of our digital program, which is accessible via a QR code back at the volunteer table or from the homepage of our website. A few reminders: the exits to this room are through that back door where you came in on my left, and if necessary, also through this door. The bathrooms for this space are, if you go all the way out of the sanctuary, there is one all-gender restroom on this floor, and then if you continue going in that direction and down some stairs, there are more bathrooms as well. Our COVID-19 policy, we do ask that for the safety of your fellow audience members and our performers, you keep a mask over your nose and mouth for the entire time that you are in this venue. If at any point you need a new mask, we are happy to provide you with one. Cell phone policy, we do have a digital program. It does include translation starting on page 9. We encourage you to look at it throughout the course of the concert, but we do ask that you silence your device. So if everyone could just check for me, just real quick, that your phone is on silent. Just make sure. We're all very tight-knit. We don't want to have that moment where we all stare at each other wondering whose phone it is. And wonderful. And one more reminder, clapping. I know for many of us, this might be the first concert that we've come back to in almost 2 years. A lot of different organizations have different rules around when you're supposed to clap, how loudly you're supposed to clap. Here at Capella Clausura, we're just so excited to be back in a room with you that we just encourage you to clap whenever the spirit moves you. So exactly, thank you, yes. Our performers love the feedback. They love to know that you're engaged with us, so please feel free to clap whenever you feel the need to do so. If you like what you see tonight, we do have 3 more concerts coming up during our 2021-2022 season. We have Renaissance Portraits on January 15th and 16th, Her Story on March 19th and 20th, and Psalms and Requiems on May 14th and 15th. If you'd like to learn more about these concerts, please visit www.clausura.org for more information. On our website, you can also sign up for our mailing list, and then you'll receive updates every single time there's a new concert, so you won't miss anything. A few program sponsors that we'd like to thank, some generous organizations who made today possible. The Village Bank, the Mass Cultural Council, the Newton Cultural Council, and the U.S. Small Business Administration. If you would like to be listed as a sponsor in our digital program for the rest of the season, you can learn more about how you can make a donation to our organization on page 27 of our digital program. Today's program lasts for 75 minutes with a 1 10-minute intermission. And with that, I invite you to please sit back, relax, and get ready to meet our troubadours.
Let's start with some music. Yes.
was a little estampille, which is a dance, a medieval dance, to be absolutely clear. And I was introduced to the estampilles, many of them, by Nama Leon, our fabulous flute player here. And she and Mike and Nancy, harp, percussion, flute, have been, Tara's just new, we love Tara, have been our medieval band for a while now. And I was inspired by the numbers of estampilles that Nama brought to us to write one. And I thought, well, make it dance-like, but it's modern, so make it jazzy. So I wrote it in 5. The next piece that you will hear, hold on a second, I have to turn on my music. Let's see. Okay, so well, before we go on to the next piece, I asked 5 composers and 1 interpreter as a result of the pandemic. I asked them to set the music of the troubadours, the female troubadours, from the 12th century. There was a period of time when there were several women who actually wrote poetry and music. And the only reason we know about them is because of these intrepid scholars from the 1970s or so, who were basically seeking out women's history. And they said, there must be some women composers out there. And they found many women composers. Actually, that's how come I exist. And the 12th century troubadours were not traveling minstrels. They were actually the ladies of the house. All of the troubadours were actually lords and ladies of the house. They were educated. They played instruments. They were not what we think of as troubadours, the sort of la 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 trickling through the tulips kind of people. There were several of them who left behind lyrics only. We don't have a lot of music. There was only one troubadour who left behind a whole piece of music. Interestingly enough, there was a troubadour who left behind lyrics under an empty staff. 5 lines. And I'm going, if there's an empty staff there, we ought to fill that in. So that's how come I asked all these composers to set the lyrics of the troubadours, and there you have the beginning of this project. So we will move on to the next piece, which is Avauvier. I don't know if you all know the story of Androcles and the lion, or St. Jerome, about the lion who has a thorn stuck in his paw, and a peasant or a saint or a Roman centurion takes that thorn out of his paw, and the lion is therefore, later on when the lion is supposed to eat that person, decides not to. Next, you will hear a piece where 3 women are talking. One of them might be a nun. 2 of them are wondering if they should marry because they don't really like what pregnancy does to your body. And so they asked this person who might be a nun if they should get married. And her answer, if you read the translations, is rather cryptic. Thank you. Thank you. Do I need a microphone? Can you hear me without a microphone if I speak? Okay, great. That takes a few minutes off of. Hold on a second. So our next set includes two parts over a tenor chant. Now, a tenor chant comes from the church, where basically there are all these chants that are familiar or were familiar in the day. And these pieces are essentially a tune that's in the vernacular written on top of this tenor chant. And the vernacular is usually, well, in the women's stories anyway, it's secretive. And so you don't really want to know what it says. And when it's two parts, it's two different sets of words at the same time, so you really don't know what it says. So we begin with Je ne quiais, and after that we'll have Patricia Van Ness's absolutely luminous piece called Angrea es mai, which is about defiance in the face of lies and deviousness and love anyway. And then we end with two lovers, again singing at the same time, again seemingly unaware of each other. One is singing, God, why am I seized by the desire to sing when I ache so from love? And the other tells us that birds and flowers bring love to mind, and she will have no joy, or no woman ever will. sorrow and to make promises to each other, and are actually speaking to each other this time. And then we end this half of the concert with Elena Gore's gorgeous Part Deux, an excerpt from the Troubadour named Gertrude, the Duchess of Lorraine, who wrote a long lyric of loss. Elena wrote this in memory of her mother, who died when we were planning this series.
Get that out of the way first.
I'm glad everyone is flexible. We're going to do the next little motet first because Tal needs to tune her instrument out there. So, up next is Je suis Jeannette. Et jolie.
Pensez, mais mon mari, c'est
That was B. Steadwell, young composer in Washington, D.C., usually writes hip-hop, and wrote this piece on a 12th century lyric. And for our final piece with all of us here, I've asked our gentlemen to channel their inner 15-year-old girl. This evening, you get a very, very special treat, which we couldn't provide last night. Maitreyi Chakraborty is here with her band to sing, again, a piece that is set on a 12th century lyric. Beatrice, Contessa de Dia, left behind lots and lots of lyrics and one notated piece. I don't know if you remember, I said there was one troubadour that we know actually wrote the music. And I said a piece of her lyric so that it could happen, so that we could fill in those empty spaces. And I've asked Maitreyi to sing it, and she has done what she calls Indianize it. And you will hear the wonderful result. It'll be a minute before there's some setup that has to happen. And meanwhile, maybe Maitreyi, you can tell us a little about the rag. So just so you know, the instruments that are being played are the harmonium here, which is basically an organ. It's a pumped thing. You pump it with one hand and you play it with the other. And the tabla, you've all seen the tabla, fabulous set of drums here. Made of clay, right? Yeah?
What's that again?
Are they made of clay? The tabla.
They're made to play?
Made of clay, C-L-A-Y.
Oh, no. He can tell you more about the tabla. Maybe you can take the mask off. It'll be a little better.
No, these are special woods.
Made of wood?
Yeah.
Okay.
But these are skins.
They're
Animal
skins.
skin, yeah.
Yeah, animal skins.
Animal
Depending on
skin,
the
yeah.
shape, depending on the tune, could be gold, it could be shaped.
Great. Okay.
So basically the tabla was one big instrument, and then, right? And then it was cut into half.
Oh.
And the tabla was born. So before that was one whole drum. And so yes, we are singing. Thank you, Amy, for the intro, but she wanted to tell me what the heck we are doing. So she, as she already told you, she wanted me to Indianize it. So the So, as she told you, she wanted me to Indianize it, and she gave me the song. And in the beginning, I was trying to find a similarity between some Indian movement and this piece. And if any of you are aware of Indian music, there are several ragas, R-A-G-A, raga, which are essentially compositions of certain notes. And those notes, the combination of those notes going up and going down, evoke a certain mood, and various compositions are made from each raga. So there are various ragas called Bhairav, Bhairavi, Kamaj, Tori, several names. And believe it or not, they're so popular that in India, men and women are named after ragas too. It's that popular. So, long story short, I tried to find a rag which is similar to it, and I found Kamaj, the rag Kamaj, and I would sing a few compositions, short compositions, based on the rag Kamaj, which is similar to the movement in this particular song. Thank you.
So Kamaj is like a scale, right? Yeah. Just so you know, the story is just briefly. The lyric is of joy and of joven, on joy and youth I thrive, in which a woman defends the honor and valor of her lover and her own integrity in loving him openly. Or her. a treat to have people. If anyone wants to know, where did I get all that poetry? Here are the two scholars who did all the work. Meg Bogan and Eglal Das. Here they are.